The time has finally come. Welcome to the first edition of Life Off-Road. I'm your host, Jay Walker, and today we're going to start by taking a look at my 2013 1LE Camaro. This is a car I bought brand new back in 2013. I had a 2011 in 2011, obviously. And I was looking to trade up once I found out about the ZL1s. Of course, the ZL1s had the supercharger, 580 horsepower, and I was going to upgrade myself because I felt I deserved it. But however, when the ZL1s came out, the ZL1s were roughly an extra $25,000 on top of the SS, and I was not willing to pay that much just for an upgrade. You know, that's a Corvette, to be honest with you, because the car was going to be roughly around $65,000, $70,000, and I just wasn't willing to pay that. So after talking it over with my sales guy and my finance manager, they told me about the 1LEs. I didn't even know about the 1LE package, and I asked if they had one on the lot. They said they did, and me and my guy went out for a test drive, and once we came back from that test drive, I wrote up a check, and 5 hours later at the dealership, my car rolled in, and you get what you see here today. So this is actually a very fun car. Like I said, it's a 2SS package, which means it comes with the Brembo brakes, of course, the halo lights. The interior has the 4-pack of gauges that reads all, you know, your battery power, your oil pressure, and all that good stuff. This car has a heads-up display, which was first introduced in the Corvettes back around, I want to say the C5s, and they put them in the Camaros around 2011. So it's a very cool feature. It pulls up the speedometer so you can change it to see the weather. You can put it on race mode or however you want to set it. But it's a very cool feature. I love that part. I do have the option. I can turn it on or off, adjust it, go up and down, that good stuff. Very good feature of the car. The 1LEs came with a different gear ratio versus the SS's. You know, this car came with a 391 gear ratio. The standard SS, I believe, was a 345. The ZL1s had a 373. So that's a little different as far as the package goes. This car was track ready. It came with bigger U-bolts, sway bars, very stiff suspension. It doesn't have the MR suspension, which is the magnetic ride control, but it does have a very good suspension. The car came with a set of 285s, 35 20s all the way around, 20 by 10 in the front, 20 by 11 in the rear, and they came with a set of Goodyear F1 tires that were pretty good tires, but they just picked up everything. I was going to a tire shop and getting nails pulled out of it probably at least twice a month. I mean, because when you got those tires so hot, they would just stick to everything and just pull up everything off the pavement, and I was just getting nails over and over again. I just got sick of it. So I upgraded to the Michelin powered Pilot S4s, which are very good tires. They are expensive, but you want quality, you have to pay for it. So nothing to chase, you know. I know what y'all really came to see. You want to know the power in this car. You want to hear how it sounds. So let's go out and take it for a ride. So people always ask me, what is the 1LE package? 1LE package is basically an option that you could get on the SS's. They started out in the early 80s. You know, it was a track package, and they basically came back out with that package around 2013. And what you get for that package is basically, it's a track package. So you get bigger U-bolts, sway bars, track bars. You get a 391 gear ratio. This car here has the TR6060 6-speed transmission, which comes in the Z28s and the ZL1s. However, the ZL1 comes with a 373 gear ratio. Like I stated before, this car has a 391, so it gets out of the pocket a lot quicker than the ZL1 does. And all basically you have for the car is pretty much, like I said, it's track ready. It was only a $3,500 option, and it was basically, you could tell it was really worth it. I mean, this is really what the SS coming out in 2010 should have been off the rip, you know. Of course, did the car come with power? Yeah, it came with power. It came with plenty of power. You know, I just basically added my spin on it, you know, when I took it to my boys at Vengeance Racing. You know, as you can hear, car has a cam, dual 660 lift cam. It's Vengeance's chaotic cam. It's the highest spec cam that you can get in the LS3 motor. And as you can hear, it really does, you know, do the business. So car made around 500 to the tires at 440 foot-pounds of torque. So yeah, it goes. You know, it's basically a really a ZL1 basically now, minus the supercharger. You know, the ZR1s came out, excuse me, ZL1s. Thinking about the Corvette to tell how much Corvette's in my mind. But when the ZL1s came out, they had a root style blower eating supercharger on top of the engine, and it pumped up the horsepower to 580 horsepower. And like I said, this car here has, off the rip, it was naturally aspirated. So it only came with 426 horsepower. I believe this car, when I bought it, it had a little bit more power to it. You know, every now and then when you get a package for from the dealership, you know, every now and then you'll find a car that has a diamond in the rough engine. And I think that was what happened in this case, you know, because this car, just off the rip, I noticed that it had a little bit more power than the SS I had before in 2011. You know, off the rip, I guess maybe this car had around 450 horsepower. And once I took it to Vengeance and had them modified, and when Vengeance modifies their cars, you know, they first put it on a dyno just to see what kind of power the car is making off the rip. And this car dynoed off the rip 414 horsepower, which is very strong for a base LS3 motor, especially out of a Camaro. You know, the Corvettes, you can put them on a dyno, and a good Corvette, you might get 370, 380, 390 tops. You know, Camaros, you'll probably get around 355, 360 just off the rip. But this one right here, at the time, I'm sure something's probably beat it, I don't know. But at that time, when this car dynoed at 414 horsepower, that was the highest that came through that shop out of a standard LS3 block. So that's pretty good to know. So I knew I had a diamond in the rough. Like I said, the car makes around 500 to the tires, and like I said, it's very fun to drive. Of course, it has the standard NPP exhaust, which is optional on the Camaros. The first original exhaust they had basically came with I'm sorry, I just had to do that. You know, you can never resist a true straightaway, and you kind of just have to punch it as we go. So you're gonna get a lot of that in most of these videos. But like I was stating before, you know, the car came with roughly 426 horsepower just from the factory. So, you know, once I took it to my guys and they did their magic on it, it bumped the power up. I've had that work done now it's probably been about 6 years. I've never had any problems out of it. You know, the car has roughly 46,000 miles on it, 7 years old. And I mean, it's barely broken in since I've had the cam done. I think when I took it to get the cam done with it, it probably had roughly, I don't know, 16,000 miles on it, give or take. So it definitely woke the car up. It definitely did, you know. I remember when I first got the car done, it was Memorial Day weekend. That following weekend was Caffeine and Octane, and I remember that was probably like my second or third show that I went to. And this was back when they had it back in Alpharetta, and it was a smaller parking lot, so you had to really get there early in the wee hours. And I just remember when I pulled up in this car and everybody just started kind of just crowding around. They heard the cam just chirping. I mean, it was just one of the prettiest sounds. I feel like I pulled up in a Ferrari. I mean, by the time I found the parking spot, everybody just corralled around the car, and it was just asking all sorts of questions, because, you know, it's very rare that you hear a modern day car sound like an old school muscle car, you know, with the cam. You know, you get the cam lope and you hear those pipes just screaming, man, and, you know, you just man it, and you get it's just a beautiful sound which never gets old. I mean, I'm telling you, it really never gets old. So, yeah, once I had that done, I mean, it was no looking back. And like I said, I really enjoy the car, and it's a lot of fun to drive. And you know, you just can't beat it, man. It never gets old. I tell people that all the time. It never gets old. And despite the heavy modifications done in this car would still give over 20 miles to the gallon. You know, you take it on the highway and do about 80 miles an hour, put it in 6th gear, and you're barely even turning 2,000 RPM. You know, it's very good on gas. You know, I lost a little bit of gas mileage when they did the cam upgrade, but not a whole lot. I mean, you know, even like I said, when we did the Want to Go Fast event, man, I was beating on it. You know, I think we stopped maybe 30 miles before we got up to the property up there in Heaven's Landing, and like I said, I did about 10 to 15 passes, and I still had well over a half a tank even after doing that. And I was going down the runway doing around 140 miles an hour. So kind of gives you an idea of how good the gas is on this thing. But like I said, this package, the 1LE package, handles very well. I mean, the car is, you know, it's a real stiff suspension, but like I said, it's like track ready. I mean, it's ready to just go to a road course and just go around turns. I've done turns, you know, in this car that would, any other car would make you kind of nervous, but this particular car, man, I felt no body roll or no tire squealing or anything. You know, like I said, this car came with a set of Goodyear F1 tires that were real good sticky tires. Only problem was they just picked up everything. They picked up nails, you know, like it was nothing. But on a good, warm, hot day like today, you know, it's roughly around 80 degrees today, so it's not really steaming hot. But a day like today, man, you can just get out here and just ride around, man, get the tires heated up, and just, you know, like I said, you can pull some serious G's in this thing, serious. Gotta love the pops. Everybody always asks me, how you get the car to do that? I'm like, man, the car does that on its own. I do not have no control over that. Oh man, never gets old. Y'all gonna hear me say that over and over and over again. It just never gets old. I mean, that's just the highlight of the car. I mean, when they put this camshaft in here, man, it really just woke the car up. It really did. It's the best $3,800 I ever spent. And that's everything, folks. Cam, long tube headers, tune, everything. I mean, that was definitely worth the investment. I just couldn't beat it, man. Feel like I'm on my own personal Autobahn. Just zigzagging. Just cruising, man. That's what this car is made for. It's made to just, like I said, handle, go around these curves like it's nothing. No body roll. Nah, nothing. And I continue to get interrupted with a phone call. This is gonna go on the bloopers. And I think that's a wrap on the video. So until then, I'm Jay Walker. You're watching Life Off-Road right here on J-Dubs Motorsports. We'll see you next week. Gee Weezy.
What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
What's up, filming?
Yeah, I actually am.
Oh.
I have to edit you out, but it's cool.
Okay. But,
what's happening?
Just call me back, man.
Nah, because I'm going back to the house to do some stuff. It's the camera's outside. I stopped it.
Okay. I'm just calling to see if I know you said you wanted to
roll on, gold on, she sweat on my Laker. It's been